Hey everyone, how's it going? This is Daniel with A to Z Knowledge to Progress. Another episode 2 of A to Z Knowledge to Progress. Thank you so much for joining me today. And today I have a special guests. Yes, I said guests with an S. I got James and I have George. George is back with us for another episode, because I had to bring him in just right off the bat from episode 1 to episode 2. So it's nice seeing you, George, again.
It's great seeing you.
Yeah. It might be there might be a train going on here, but anyway, let's go back to James over here.
That
What's
might
up, James?
be the wrong word.
Okay, and what do you mean by that? How did that make you feel, James?
I think the point is how it makes you feel.
Okay. So today we're out here at Drury Island State Park, and you're going to hear a lot of ambient sound because we're out here in the open. Hopefully we hear some birds, some cars passing, some, boats driving by. We're actually out here because we want to go ahead and experience nature as we have a conversation as a group, right, boys? Woo!
Woo! Woo!
Yeah, so I want to go ahead and start off the episode with introductions. Obviously, you know me, A2C Knowledge to Progress. What you got, James?
I am James McDougall. I am the host of MaxHood.com. That is Max Neighborhood.
Oh, okay.
.com.
I like that.
All
I like
right.
that voice.
I was in high school. Didn't really know myself. I was trying to, just like most teenagers, trying to figure out who I was, and found out I was trying to be something I wasn't. When I joined the military, started feeling different and started finding out who I really wanted to be. After the military, I was in law enforcement for a while. Found out mostly who I didn't want to be. Well, now, after especially visiting the barn, I found out who I feel most comfortable resonating with myself and sharing parts of my experiences with other people. We're not so different.
Yeah.
And meeting you, we'll talk about George here in a little more later. But
yeah, we're going to talk about George.
But meeting with
Let's talk about George.
yeah, meeting with Dan here, it was amazing. We have some of the similar interests with podcasts, and also being at the barn really kind of resonated with me and made me feel a sense of self and peace that I didn't have.
Yeah.
I got pieces of it, certain songs like you did on the last episode.
Yeah.
Certain songs kind of resonate with me, certain feelings, being out here by the lake and all. This is great, looking at this view. It's awesome, but I really feel like after you invited us, and after having been on the boat and, spent some time with each other and eating, doing manly man things, I feel like I've come full circle. Being here with my friends, we spoke about it at the barn, having your 3 to 5. I feel like part of my 3 to 5 is right here. I'm where I need to be.
That's awesome, man. What about you, George? Talk to me.
Well, I'm, again, Ukrainian born. My family immigrated here in 1979.
How far are you going back?
1979.
Way back.
And now tell us your age again.
I grew up here in Columbia, South Carolina. Actually, one of the very first people I'd ever met in the United States was Jamie McDougall. We've known each other since the second grade, and here we are. Not going to tell you how many years later.
Whoop.
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 After high school, we joined the U.S. Army. Did it with Jamie McDougall, actually, on the buddy program. Joined the U.S. Army, served 6.5 years, learned a lot, experienced a lot, got some great experiences, less than great experiences. Got in the military, did my thing for 20 or so years, and just reconnected, and back in Columbia, South Carolina. Went through a traumatic experience in my life. That's how I met Dan, and then I let Dan take over from here.
Yeah, so, for me, obviously, I was in the military for 23 years. I retired. So I'm actually from San Antonio, Texas. So when I graduated a week later, I was off to basic. After joining the military, 23 years, I retired, became a project manager, and then I actually found the Big Red Barn. Went to the Warrior Path program at the Big Red Barn Retreat. And there I moved on from being a project manager to operations manager there at the Big Red Barn. And now I'm here with you guys because I got to know you because I was there when y'all came through.
Absolutely.
And I'm excited to be here with y'all. And so one thing that I wanted to have a conversation was opportunity and how we got here. Because really it just started off with, hey, let's go ahead and go to the park and hang out. And then all of a sudden it turned into, yeah, let's go ahead and go to the park, get a lodge. And then it turned into, hey, I got a boat. So it went from going to the park, turned into an awesome experience out here.
Absolutely.
So, we talk about that opportunity, how we take those opportunities and then they manifest into something bigger. So in your life, has that ever happened to you to where you thought like, you know what? I'll go here, and then all of a sudden, boom, it's like, whoa, have no idea this was going to become something like this.
The military.
Obviously, the military. Yes. Okay. That's pretty big. Something outside the military. Something that someone could relate to at home. Anyone like to take this question?
As military, I got in the car business, and I had the opportunity to become a fleet manager, commercial account manager, finance manager, sales manager.
Yep.
So it was great because I never thought in my life I would move to any of those positions. Because heck, all I wanted to do was sell a couple cars and make a couple of dollars.
Yep.
The opportunities just arose. I had to take them.
Yeah. And let me add something to that I just thought about is we progress, because not only that, when I was in the military and I became a project manager, I took those skill sets with me. Right. And I progressed. So having those skill sets and learning from being in the military for 23 years and then being a project manager for 3.5 years, I ended up taking that with me as I moved on from it. Right. So those skill sets progressed me over, and it opened opportunities for me to be part of something bigger. Because if I didn't have the military, or I didn't go through that military and have those values, and I didn't become a project manager and have those skill sets, I wouldn't have that confidence to say, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and do this in order to provide an opportunity for my brothers and friends to come out here, because I felt that I wouldn't be a good host. But I never realized that, I have a project manager skill set or background now. Now I'm bringing it to the table.
Your management skills came long before the project manager. Being an NCO in the U.S. Army, that was probably the biggest benefit you had to be in the military. Is it did teach you leadership. You had an opportunity to guide your soldiers.
And not only that, drill sergeant.
Yeah.
The whole drill thing.
Absolutely.
Well, they're pieces of puzzles, I feel. That, right. Yes, I was a leader in the military, but that was part of a piece of the puzzle. But when I grabbed that project manager's puzzle piece and I placed it into the full puzzle, then now it gave me that confidence, because there was a skill set that it was missing in order to create these events.
Well, I believe that everything we do will put us in a place where we benefit. Again, when I started selling cars, all I cared about was just selling another vehicle and putting another dollar. Going to fleet and commercial account management, of course, I got to sell commercial vehicles.
Yep.
Going into finance, I got to learn about finance and how finances affect your purchases. And, of course, a sales manager on where the values come from and all the management aspect of course, that. So I think everything you do will guide you and lead you to the new path.
For myself, after the military, I really didn't have a direction of specifically what I wanted to do. So I went into construction. I think I learned most about myself when I went to an oil lube facility, and basically just they called me an oil tech. I just did a bunch of oil changes. But I was encouraged to sell just products, engine flushes, transmission changes, coolant flushes, things like that.
Yeah.
And you get a bonus every time you sold something. I never really tried to sell anything, but the first couple that I sold, I saw a little bit of an addition on my check. And I was like, okay. So I started putting it together, and then I came up with a whole script. I put in a lot of thought into it, and then it got to the point where I wasn't doing a whole lot of oil changes anymore. I was mainly selling things.
Yeah.
And I was being pushed to do it because they were making money off of it too.
Yeah.
And then next thing you know, my check got bigger.
Yeah.
I was just kept getting encouraged to do more and more until people started not liking me because they gave me a specific bay.
Yeah.
Because my script and everything got so good that they were like, wow, that he's really doing something. So I thought of, I could be a salesperson, and after I left that part, I went on to become a member, representative at an insurance company.
Yeah.
And I really had the gift of gab, so I was able to talk to some people. And then even later on after that, because I like the technical side of things at a phone company / products company, I really started doing that whole product specialist thing. And it really resonated with me that, like you said, it was all a progression to a certain point. And now I am not in my own job now, working in insurance / banking. And when I talk, I have a lot of experience in this particular area.
Yeah.
People listen. And it's because of, it adds, as long as you add value of what you're saying. And if you don't add value, obviously it doesn't work out. But for me, it resonated with me, and it was a progression from that first oil tech job all the way into what I'm doing now. And you don't see it when you're younger, but when you get a little bit older and you start putting these things on top of each other, and it is a progression.
Yeah.
I mean, you climb, and not necessarily, it's not even really about the money. It's what makes you happy.
I was going to say is I started working at a young age. I enjoy work. I enjoy feeling like I accomplished something. One of my very first jobs working at a pizza place. I went from a cook to a delivery driver to being one of the shift managers at 16 years old.
Skipping school, bringing friends into the, but anyway, go ahead.
Well, they had beer on tap, so.
Okay.
But I think everything you do will lead you to the next part of your life, whether, again, it's delivering pizza or getting in the banking industry or changing oil.
It's okay to take stutter steps or start over, especially I think that's part of the progression. I knew there were certain things that I didn't like doing.
Yeah.
And then I knew that there were things that I liked. Let's try a little bit of that. You really definitely have to get out of your comfort zone. I know with selling, you present certain things. There are certain things that worked, and there were certain things that didn't work. No, but that's the thing, is you learn early on what you're comfortable with and how to progress.
Yeah, I actually tell my kids and any young individual that it starts off with getting out there and learning things. Like I always tell them, build your resume. Start from the beginnings. Get a job, whether it's at McDonald's or wherever it is, Sonic, food chain, whatever. Because that's where it starts. And then from there, you're going to gain some skills. And then you find the next thing, become a lead. Then you move on to another job, and you continuously grow and progress, and you take those skills just like I did in the military project manager. I'm growing, and that's what's going to open up those possibilities to find those opportunities to be able to find those good jobs. You have to
have patience too, to give yourself time to progress within that field, because first you have to learn it.
Yep.
When I was in law enforcement, there was a few times where you would sit around.
Yep.
Everyone else would twiddle their thumbs.
Yeah.
I didn't do that. I always tried to walk and talk.
Yeah.
Tried to, meet new people. And I always had my nose in the procedures.
Yeah.
And the policies. And I'm telling you, that saved me more than once.
Yep.
And all because you have to take that initiative. I recall one time being in a roll call, and the sergeant or lieutenant was giving out information and said something about a policy question. That's when I started thinking it might be time to move on. Yeah. It's because it wasn't really resonating. I think I had learned what I needed to, or everything that I needed to up to that point, and it was time to move on.
Yeah.
But that to me showed me when he was like, if it was a policy question, it was, go to McDougall, and I was like,
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, there you go.
Everybody started looking at me a little different light then.
Yeah. So it's just being patient. And like you said, many of us want to get those rewards, those extrinsic rewards, and they want to be in a position already where they're getting more money and responsibility and title and stuff, but they're so eager to it that they want it now, but it takes time to gain those skill sets and to get to that place.
Funny, because I actually, when I was a car salesman, and I had my downtime, of course, after doing, making all my phone calls and doing all the things I had to do as a salesperson, I'd get bored and I'd get on the computer and just start researching what a fleet manager did or what a sales manager did. And when the fleet position came open, I actually didn't apply for it. When they came and offered it to me, I told them they're crazy because I hadn't been in the car business long enough, but they came to me and they promoted me, and I guess my
progression. Yep.
Right. And when I was a fleet manager, I'd get bored and I'd try to figure out what finance people do. And of course, finance position came open and I didn't apply for it. In fact, I didn't even want it, but I became a finance manager and so on and so forth. So for me, it was a little different. All my progressions, at least in the car business, have been just because I put myself out there. I didn't apply for them, but I took the initiative to make sure I knew what everybody else did. And I guess maybe that came from my military, being a rifleman in the infantry. You still have to know how every weapon system works. If the bigger gun goes down, you pick up the bigger gun. The fight doesn't stop.
Right.
So for me, I guess that was kind of a mentality in the military is, if the finance manager is busy, well, I want to know what they do so I can make it happen.
Right. Just in case you have to cover for them.
That's right.
Yep.
Or if the finance manager is busy and I have to get a car deal sent off to the bank, well, I knew where the fax machine is. I knew how to use the fax machine. And I knew how to print the paperwork to send it off. So I guess a little selfish on my part, but it certainly helped me.
I don't believe it's selfishness. I think it's having the patience to know where your opportunities are to progress yourself. And that's exactly what you did.
Hey everyone, thank you so much for joining me. We're going to go ahead and stop here at this episode, but please join me on episode 3 where we continue this conversation and this dialogue with George and James. We'll be discussing more about opportunities, but moving forward into the mental wellness aspects of opportunity and possibilities. So please come back, join me on episode 3 as we continue this conversation and dialogue. Thank you so much everyone for joining me on this episode 2. Please don't forget to subscribe, like this content, and as always, I'll catch you on the next episode.